Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban, and welcome to this very special talk today, coming to you via Zoom by one of Jordan's greatest new artists. His name is Tamer Al Ahmar, and he is Jordan based, although he is in California today. Due to the corona, he's actually on Zoom, and that's the way we're going to conduct the lecture today. In a moment, I'm about to turn the screen over to Tamer, who has been preparing an amazing PowerPoint for you, full of graphics. Feel free to react with a wow or a heart or, in any way you like during the talk. Type in your questions in the chat and I'll get to them. And if they are in Arabic, I'll translate them. And I just want to say that Tamer Al Ahmar is truly one of the finest young artists coming out of Jordan today. I was in Jordan over the summer and 2 years ago also, and I saw his artwork everywhere, in cafes, in restaurants, all over Amman, the capital. And I was wondering who this artist was, because although I saw his work, I never knew who he was. And everybody told me Tamer Al Ahmar. I eventually got in touch with him, and he generously and graciously agreed to be recorded for an interview that I aired on my radio show, which airs right here from KZSU 90.1 FM, and the show is called Arabology. That interview is in the archives. If you go to soundcloud.com/Arabology, you'll be able to find this interview. I subsequently recorded an audiovisual interview for him, which is on the Arabology YouTube channel. But this is the first time that actually Tamer is taking over and will be taking us through his artistic journey visually and audio visually. So welcome to everybody. Shukran for coming. I see many of my amazing students who showed up. There might be people joining us from overseas. If they are in Amman, keep in mind it's 11:30 p.m. there. So if they're in their pajamas, we know why. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Tamer, who's going to take us through his amazing slideshow. I also want to say a very special shukran to the amazing professor, Dr. Thuraya Mahdi, who's always supportive of art, of music that comes out of the Middle East. Here, I'll join Sophia Z in giving her a big qalb for coming today. Some of her students might be joining us too. Look at all the hearts, Thuraya, in gallery view. You got qulub wa qulub wa hub. And with no further ado,
I
أهلا
love you
وسهلا.
all. I love all of you, my dear students. Thank you. And thank you.
ونحن نحبك أيضا يا دكتورة ثريا. With no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tamer, who's going to be taking us through a beautiful PowerPoint presentation. أهلا وسهلا به.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Ramzi, for this beautiful introduction. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Stanford University for this invitation. I'm really honored to be with you today. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Ramzi Salti and Dr. Thuraya Mahdi for their support. I really appreciate it, and it really helped me a lot. So today, I'm going to share with you some of my artwork. We're going to talk about the artists. I emphasize on the female icons from the Arab cultural music scene, and cinema for sure. So I'm going to share my screen, and at the end of the presentation, please feel free to ask any question, and you can leave comments during the presentation at the chat section. Well, this is officially my art logo. All right, we will begin with Asmahan. And actually, this was my first illustration in my professional art career. Asmahan came from the Druze mountain in Syria. So basically, she's a Syrian singer. She was born in 1912 and died in 1944 at the age of 32. She was an extraordinary singer, endowed with a voice that combined the strength flexibility, uniqueness, and good learning. Although she was only 32 years of old when she died, her legacy and archive remain legendary. She managed to make a huge impact up on the screen and in her recording with such songs as Ya Habibi Ta'al and Imta Hatar. Actually, I've made more than one illustration for her, but before moving to the other illustrations, I have an interesting fact about Asmahan, which is that she was born on a ship in the sea and died in a car accident that went into a canal in war. So yeah, a tragedy. Here, there's more illustrations for her. For example, on her T-shirt here we have the name of one of her famous songs, Ya Habibi Ta'al. As we know, she's the sister of Farid Al-Atrash. So at this illustration, we see them both. And on this one, I have imagined Asmahan wearing the Beats headset. So now we will listen to part of her the beautiful song Imta Hataraf. I hope that you will enjoy this short video.
امتى هتعرف امتى اني بحبك انت امتى هتعرف امتى اني بحبك انت امتى هتعرف اني بحبك انت امتى هتعرف امتى هتعرف.
Okay, the next one is the one and only Kulthum. Kulthum is considered the Arab world supreme diva. She's an Egyptian singer. She was born in 1898 and died in 1975 at the age of 77. She was called the Star of the East and the fourth pyramid of Egypt, Kawkab al-Sharq, for her vocal abilities. Kulthum came from a poverty-stricken background and rose to fame despite the odds. Her unforgettable concerts were broadcast live on Egyptian radio and included songs that were often more than an hour in length. She also worked with elaborate orchestras, and her voice could carry over to the audience with endurance. Interesting fact about Kulthum, that she used to wear the black sunglasses for medical purposes, and it became one of her trademarks. Here we can see more illustrations for Kulthum. And at the next slide, we're gonna watch a small part from her song Inta Umri. Wow. Okay, the third singer and star is Fairuz. Fairuz Jarat Al Qamar, the neighbor of the moon. She is a Lebanese singer. She was born in 1934 and rose to fame in the late 50s. She was known for challenging the traditional length of songs by recording tracks that were only a few minutes long. Although this fact was initially rejected by many as too Western, Fairuz and the Rahbani brothers soon established themselves as true innovators, creating through the decades an impressive number of plays, movies, concerts that are still cherished today. Fairuz's husband, Asir Rahbani, was responsible for writing most of her early work, while later her son Ziad Rahbani was composing for her. An interesting fact about Fairuz is that she did not sing for any political leader but sang for all Arab countries. Okay, here we can see another illustrations for Fairuz. And now we're going to enjoy this video that was from the French television, her appearance on the French television. So let's watch. No, that was beautiful. Okay, now we move to Sabah. Sabah meaning in Arabic is the morning. Sabah is considered to be one of the most flamboyant figures in Arabic music. She's a Lebanese singer. She was born in 1927 and died in 2014 at the age of 87. She was known for her outfits, hairstyle, makeup, and energy on the stage. Her private life too was the topic of gossip since she married and divorced many times. Sabah was also known for her mawal and gained popularity initially in Egypt before becoming an icon in her native country, Lebanon, and of course the Arab world. Sabah lived to the ripe old age of 87 and continued to perform and make appearances well into her 70s. An interesting fact about Sabah that she got married 7 times. Here we can watch and relate to what Asli said already at this video.
عم يحلم قلبي برجال طفران ودرويش الحال عم يحلم قلبي برجال طفران ودرويش الحال عايشني بأوضة صغيرة ما فيها غير حصيري عايشني بأوضة صغيرة ما فيها غير حصيري وما بدي فراطة ولا نال خلي الغيري الفراطة خلي الغيري الفراطة
Okay, the last but not the least is Warda al-Jazairiyya, the Algerian singer who was born in 1939 and died in 2012 at the age of 73. Warda represented the sound of the Maghreb. She became known for her distinctive performances, stage presence, and interaction with the audience. Although her earlier songs were in Darija, she mostly sang in Egyptian in addition to French. Warda took a sabbatical from singing in the 70s, but returned to the stage later on and continued to record new songs until a few years before she died. Her songs to this day carry a special feeling of unity between the Maghreb and the Mashriq. Let's enjoy. Before, we have an interesting fact about Warda, which is that she returned to sing when the Algerian president invited her to perform at the 10th anniversary of Algeria's independence. Okay, let's enjoy this video together.
سألوني كتير سألوني عليك بتحبيني أيوة وحنكر ليه بصولي ملاك وقالولي كلام جراح فرشولي الأرض دموع الشمس جراح.
That was a beautiful song for Warda. Now I'm going to share with you another illustration that combines some of all these artists together. For example, this one, do you recognize all of them?
Let's see who can recognize the three icons on. Okay, I'll take one out of three. Just unmute and say what you think.
Fairuz is in the middle.
Yes, Jackie, Mumtaza. Who's on the right and who's on the left? Hint, hint. They were just discussed. Anybody unmute yourself and
Sabah wa Kulthum.
Wow. Okay, Dwight. Which one is Sabah and which one is Kulthum?
Sabah is on the right and Kulthum is on the left.
MashaAllah, Dwight. Shukran. Jackie, don't you love your question in the chat, which asked Tamer if these singers ever performed together or if he illustrated them together? There's your answer. I don't know though, Tamer, if these singers actually performed together. Have they ever?
No, they have never met together. The three of them, for each other at the same time at the same place. So I imagine them sitting together, and behind them there's the letter of Salon Nujum, which means the Salon of Stars. Okay, at the next one here, I imagined the Lebanese famous stars having like a dinner together, enjoying their night, and I call this illustration the Lebanese night. From the left to the right, we can name Wadi al-Safi, Nusri Shamsuddin, Sabah, Fairuz in the middle, Asr Rahbani, who was the husband of Sabah, and Huda Haddad, which was the sister of Fairuz. The next one is for the Egyptian cinema divas. From the left to the right, we can name Nadia Lutfi, Zubayda Sarwat, Shadia, Fatan Hamama, Fuad Husni, and Hind Rustom. Okay, we have also some famous couples at the Arabic music and cinemas. For example, we have Layla Murad and Anwar Wagdi. They were both actors, and she used to sing. And Fatan Hamama and Omar al-Sharif, for sure. The beautiful love story of them. And here I had a series for some female singers and actresses. We have from the left Samira Tawfi, a Lebanese singer. At the middle, Shadia. And at the right, Saad Husni. And we can see a bubble over their heads with some phrases from their famous songs. For example, Saad Husni, she's saying Al-Haya ba'alunha bambi, which means the life color has become pink, something like that. It shows that she was happy. At the middle, Shadia, حاجة غريبة, something strange. And Samira Tawfi, أنا حلوة وعارفة حالي, which means I'm beautiful and I know it. So yes. Now, I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Please feel free to ask any question.
I'm going to ask Tamer to stop sharing his screen, although we might want to retrieve some of these masterpieces later. So I'm going to go right to Sophia, who asked a question in the chat, which I think comes to mind the second you hear the topic of this talk, and that is what inspired you, Tamer, to draw female Middle Eastern singers specifically?
Okay, that's a beautiful question, and the answer is that I see all the obstacles and the challenges that women are facing in the Middle East. And for these icons who achieved so much impact in art, political, and society at that time, that was really inspiring for me. And I wanted to do that as an appreciation and to eternalize their achievement to the next generation.
I always knew Tamer had a feminist streak, something he discussed in the interview, and female empowerment. Great question there. Let me move on to the one and only Marina, who is asking Tamer, she's saying you blend pop art, classic art, geometric patterns, and other styles so seamlessly. Can you talk about your process? Then in the second part, she's talking specifically about the Warda illustration we saw, and she says that behind Warda the calligraphy is in a different style than the other women. Is there any particular reason for that? So let's begin with Marina's first question about blending pop art and other styles seamlessly. Can you talk about that process, Tamer?
Well, what is beautiful about the digital art that you can mix many and different tools together in a very easy ways. So, for example, I start with illustrating the outlines for the sketch, and after that, I blend the different patterns, colors on another or different softwares. So there's many options to do that, and honestly, I have explored all that by myself. I've never learned anything like for specific course on anything. As for Warda, yes, the calligraphy was different, and that was very smart notice from you, because I have put like a flower shape behind her head, and at the middle of the shape I've put the calligraphy to show that, or to reflect her name at the background, which is Warda means the flower.
Very good eye, Marina, in terms of the calligraphy. I think, Tamer, if you could pull up the Warda, can you pull up and share only the Warda illustration? Also, you know, a lot of people thought that Tamer's art, digital arts, were sort of like he would bring up an already existing picture and digitize it. This is not the case. The guy works from scratch. I mean, we're talking about real creation or recreation. And though you love the fact that he brings them, imagines them in the modern age, like, you know, holding a cell phone, wearing the Beats, you know, speakers, you know, things that were way, you know, before or after their time. So Tamer is actually sharing the screen. No, okay, all right. To show what Marina was talking about. Marina, that's what you meant when you were talking about the calligraphy behind her? Yeah. Anybody want to attempt to read the first word behind her head on the wall? I think Dr. Thuraya is volunteering. Okay, Dr. Thuraya, can you unmute yourself and read for us the first word?
I want to leave it to our students.
Okay, let's give the students a chance first.
Yeah.
Anybody can recognize any letters, at least, in this word that is on the first word behind her on the wall?
I think, Dr. Ramzi, this one was the most challenging in terms of calligraphy, because the words are not very clear.
So the word is Az-Zaman. Thank you, Dr. Abu Mahdi. Az-Zaman, time. It's a synonym for waqt. Yes,
okay, but it was actually taken from one of her famous songs saying La Zaman wala al-Makan.
Oh, wow. Neither the Zaman nor the Makan. What's a Makan, Dwight?
Place.
Place. So neither time nor place. الزمان لا الزمان ولا المكان. Nice one. Okay, I'm going to go back to the amazing questions we're getting, and Maddie is asking you why digital versus traditional art, and what tools do you use?
Okay, Maddie, thank you for your question. I have started with the traditional art. I have learned all the different types. And when I started to practice the digital art, I enjoyed that and wanted to create something modern with it. The tools I'm using is the pen tablet that you connected to your PC or laptop, and the different softwares from Adobe for like Illustrator and Photoshop.
We have a very special question. I think it comes in from Jordan, and it is from somebody who's attending all the way from Amman in Jordan. Ahlan wa sahlan. The question is, visiting different countries undoubtedly inspired you to draw something new, like non-Arab artists? I know Martina was thinking the same thing. Do you only illustrate Arab artists? And has visiting different countries inspired you to draw more than just Arab artists?
Okay, I would like to thank my sister for this question. Actually, this is my sister. So hello all the way from the States. Well, visiting different countries inspired me for sure, because the artists need to enrich their vision with different cultures and art. So for sure, yeah, it inspired me. And to draw something new like non-Arab artists, for sure, as you see at the background, I have that illustration for Marilyn Monroe, and here for Frida Kahlo. I have did also for Amy Winehouse, but I put them in an Arabic context, as you can see. So yeah, thank you.
I love how in the question, or in the background to Tamer's screen, you can see Frida Kahlo wearing some kind of Arabic traditional dress. I also know he has Marilyn Monroe, I think, also holding a cell phone and wearing a traditional Arab dress. I'm not sure she actually did that, but isn't that the fun of recreating these figures in our time? I'm going to move to the next question, but before I do so, I think Riyadh, who is with us today, had his hands up. Let's give Riyadh a chance to ask. Ahla sahla ya akh Riyadh. I don't know if Riyadh is still there, or I see his hand up. And if Riyadh is with us, you might want to unmute yourself, Riyadh, so we can hear you. Or if he stepped away, I'll come back to Riyadh. Riyadh, أنت قادر تسمعنا؟ Okay, I'll come back to Riyadh. Professor Boumehdi has class now, so she will be watching the recording, inshallah. And now, if you look in the chat, guys, Dwight has asked the first question in Arabic. Let me read it. أنت تستخدم جماليات حديثة في رسوماتك. هل تعتقد أن هذا يشجع الجيل الجديد على الاستماع إلى هؤلاء الفنانات القدامى? Okay, so what is he asking about? He's asking about the الجيل الجديد, which means the new generation. I think الجيل is part of your vocab we'll be going over. Anyway, coincidence. And so he's talking about, using different technologies and aesthetics in his drawings. And do you think that doing so encourages the new generation to listen to the actual songs and performances by these icons?
Okay, should I answer in Arabic or in English? What do you want, Dwight?
يمكن بالإنجليزي.
Okay. Let's try both. I will answer in Arabic and I will translate in English for your own benefit. Okay. نعم، أحد أهدافي من خلال الفن الذي أقوم به أن أشجع الجيل الجديد على الاستماع على هذا النوع من الفن، لأنه فيه أصالة ويذكرنا بالموسيقى العربية الحقيقية التي كانوا يستخدموا فيها الآلات الموسيقية العربية المختلفة. And the answer in English is that yes, for sure, because one of my goals is to encourage the new generation to go back and listen to these icons, because they translate the real Arabic music in their art using the different authentic Arabic instruments.
وبالفرنسي أيضا؟ دوايت أو العربية والإنجليزية فقط؟ لا تريد اللغة النرويجية أيضا؟ Okay, shukran. I know now many of you did not type the questions because I know you'd rather ask them on the spot. Am I right, guys? Are you going to ask him a سؤال بالعربي أو بالإنجليزي أو بالفرنسي? Let's see if anybody's going to put up their hand. And at any time, if Riyadh is hearing us and would like to ask his question, all he needs to do is unmute and ask away. All right, let's see who's gutsy now. Who's going to raise their yad and ask Tamer a question on the spot? Maddie, shukran, and then Jackie. تفضلي Maddie.
نعم. هل عندك طفولتك في الأردن؟
سؤال ممتاز. For those who don't speak Arabic, Nora, she asked about his childhood. Was it in Jordan?
نعم مادي كانت طفولتي في الأردن. I have born and raised in Jordan.
سؤال ممتاز. وجاكي؟
نعم سؤال بإنجليزي.
تفضلي.
Tamer, do you have a favorite singer to draw, and do you have a favorite singer to listen to?
Okay, beautiful question. Thank you, Jackie. Favorite singer to draw? No, because I enjoy drawing all of them because each one has different details and different features. So I enjoy the process. And to listen to, I think the top two is Fairuz and Kulthum, and the next follows. Thank you.
Martina wants to know, Tamer, if you draw modern Arab musicians and singers as well, more modern than these classic icons.
Well, the answer is that I don't like to go too commercial, but on my private Instagram account, for example, I share some sketches for kind of modern Arabic singers who sing the alternative Arabic music. For me to draw any figure, they should have influenced me in a way or another or inspired me at anything. So yeah, this is the answer.
Martina, were you thinking of a specific modern Arab musician or singer who you'd like to see eternalized in Tamer's art? Maybe we will plant a seed for Tamer to do it. Yeah, so Martino's open to discovering someone new. Why don't you surprise us at some point, Tamer? And inspired by Martino's question, draw someone more modern so that they can discover modern Arabic music or the latest Arabic music. Sophia Ahla Sahla, Sophia V is in class, and I know she has prepared a question not only in Arabic but in colloquial Arabic. Wait till that comes through, inshallah. In the meantime, I'm going to move to Waid, who is asking a question about, if you've ever drawn something related to your country.
Well, I feel that I belong to the Middle East in general, not to a specific country for sure. I feel that I belong to my home country, but I prefer to be called as Middle Eastern. So yeah, my art is for the all Middle East.
I see Sophia Lamas's hand up. I'm going to ask her before I go to Harleen's question. Go ahead, Sophia.
كيف تعلمت الرسم؟
سؤال ممتاز. And for those who don't speak Arabic, she asked, how the heck did you learn how to draw?
Okay, Sophia, thank you for your question. The answer is that I'm a self-taught artist. لقد تعلمت بنفسي الرسم.
Mumtaz. Moving on to Harleen, who asks you, what do you think the role of art is in preserving and transmitting culture?
Okay, that question is really beautiful because I have asked myself that question one day when I was watching a movie from the 50s I think, or 40s. And I was telling myself that we can see through the cinemas and document how life used to be in terms of all the details, from the interiors to the way they used to dress, to the streets, to the landmarks. So art documents these things, and they keep like a heritage and reference for us to back to it and study how life used to be and how it became. So I do believe at the role of the art, and that's why I'm doing my art, to eternalize these figures at their best life.
I'm wondering how many of the amazing young people in the room today will, thanks to Tamer's art, go look into who these figures really were, more about them on YouTube, and also in terms of film. But I think that is, if I may say so, one of the major roles of the artist in the Arab world today, is to reimagine and eternalize these figures who sadly are kind of disappearing from the mainstream, but thanks to artists like Tamer, are being revived on a daily basis. Ilyana has an amazing su'al, and she asks if any of your artistic style or inspiration change when you switched from more traditional mediums to digital art?
Thank you, Ilyana, for your question. The answer is that yes, for sure. Because when I changed from the traditional medium to digital art, I started digital art as a comic artist. So I was drawing cartoons, and after that, I tried to explore different ways to draw like real portraits, or not cartoonish. So the first experiment was with Asmahan illustration that I just shared with you. And from there, I have started my journey. And for sure, the digital art allowed me to explore different options, like adding more patterns, using the modern technology to mix and match different elements in one picture. So yeah, it has changed for sure.
The next question from Maddie is about buyers, meaning who, as you know, Tamer's art, as I said, was everywhere in Jordan. I found it on pillows, I found it on mugs, I found it on t-shirts. In fact, if I stop my video for a second, you'll see me wearing a t-shirt that has Fairuz, and that was done by Tamer. I think he uses Redbubble and other sites to sort of make his art available to the masses. The question by Maddie is that, are your buyers mostly in the Arab world, in the US, or elsewhere?
Well, I prefer to call it from the West, not only US. And yeah, the majority are from the West. I think because most of maybe the Arab who are living abroad, my art reminds them about their home countries. And for the Western people, when they learn about these figures, I think they appreciate the art itself, and they like to buy it.
I should do a little plug here for Tamer and say that you can follow his Insta page at Tamer Al Ahmar Art on Instagram. And of course, that link is in the email you all received or the announcement if you'd like to follow him and make commentary about his art. I'm going to move now to the one and only Sophia V. I can't believe we're 3 Sophias in the same class. That's amazing. Sophia V بدها تسأل سؤال بالعربية العامية. So forget your proper Fusha right now and get down to Shari'a level and listen to Sophia ask him a question in colloquial Levantine Arabic. تفضلي يا Sophia.
ماشي. مرحبا يا تامر. أي مغني هلا سيكون مهم زي فيروز وأم كلثوم في المستقبل؟ ممكن نانسي أجرم ولا لا؟
سؤال ممتاز. Let me translate for those who only speak Fusha or don't speak Arabic at all. It's a very heavy question. Who's the next Fairuz? Who, in your opinion, will rise to fame the way Fairuz did? Now, I've got my own answer, and I'm not going to impose it on Tamer. Let's hear what he has to say.
رح أجاوب بالعامية صوفيا وبعدين ممكن أرجع أعيد بالإنجليزي. تمام؟ برأيي ما حد رح ياخذ مكان حدا. كل شخص ممكن يكون عظيم بمكانه، لكن فيروز، أم كلثوم وجميع هدول المغنيين طلعوا بظروف معينة ممكن هي كمان ساعدت إنه تخلدهم أو تخليهم مميزين. لكن أكيد كل عصر له فنانينه. بتمنى الأشخاص الموجودين حاليا أو الفنانين الموجودين حاليا يستمروا ويخلدوا أسمائهم زي ما فيروز وأم كلثوم تخلدت أسمائهم. بس deep inside أنا عندي شك.
And in English, yeah, Tamer.
Okay, well, I think that no one can replace or take the place of anyone. Each artist has their space and they can work to eternalize their art. However, I believe that the circumstances and the lifestyle that where these artists has been grew in has helped them to eternalize their art. But deep inside, honestly, I encourage and I have faith that we can have some good artists that they can save their name for the end of the life. But deep inside, I don't believe that we can have another Fairuz or Kulthum.
And Sophia, to the Fairuz purists, saying that Nancy Ajram can ever equal Fairuz has caused people to sort of faint from shock. However, I'm with you, Sophia, that Nancy Ajram has a beautiful voice too, and is often sort of dismissed as a new pop icon, and where she does have the depth. Tamer, before I answer the question about Fairuz being replaced, can I ask you to pull up the collage that's behind you in a separate screen? Because for one thing, it is mirrored in the screen behind Tamer. So trying to figure out the Arabic writing when it's mirrored is going to be hard, too hard, I think. So maybe we'll ask him to find that collage on his computer and share it with us, because we could actually read what these phrases are behind each of the singers. And then as the number one Fairuz fanatic in the world, anytime someone asks a question, Fairuz, even if it's not addressed to me, I feel it necessary to impose my views. And here is my response to whether Fairuz could be replaced. I'm going to say yes, Fairuz can be replaced the day the moon can be replaced, the day the sun can be replaced. When that day happens, maybe Fairuz will be replaced. But until that day, Fairuz shall remain a category of her own. As Tamer said, she comes from Lebanon, where I was born and raised, but she also has the ability to unite the Arab world through her songs. The Arab world may fight over many things, as we can see, but try to go to any Arab country and say the word Fairuz, and suddenly somebody has a beautiful story about a Fairuz song. So she's emblematic of much more than just a singer or a diva who is still alive today, of course. She's also a symbol for peace and unity in an Arab world that is often so fragmented. Okay, I think Tamer has found the collage. Let's see if we can figure out together, if we can figure out the Arabic writing. Tamer, can you share your screen? Shall I do this the way I do in class and ask you to look at the picture? On the lower right, that is Kulthum, and there's a phrase behind her that's repeated 3 times. Nina, read that phrase.
Ya Habibi. Oh, Ya Habibi.
And there's a third one, Nina.
Ya Habibi.
There we go. I mean, what is the most popular word in any Arabic song? How many times do you hear Habibi? So I guess it's also part of one of Kulthum's songs, in which she says, "Ya Habibi," and then she gets audience applause. So of course she has to repeat, "Ya Habibi," and the audience wants more as she repeats "Ya Habibi" a third time. Now that alone took 5 minutes. No wonder her songs were an hour long, because the audience would always ask her to repeat, as you saw in the little video. How about the one next to her there? That is Dalida. He didn't speak about her today, but can anybody figure out the word behind Dalida? It's also written 3 times. Okay, Sophia V.
Arani.
And do you know what Arani means?
Songs.
Very good. So songs. Arani, which also happens to be the title of one of Dalida's songs in Arabic. Dalida sang in many, many languages, including Arabic, and she was born in Egypt. She's worth a PowerPoint of her own. How about the picture to the bottom left with the red background? Let's see. Who would like to try reading that? Martino, go ahead. Sure. Martino wants to read the 2 words behind Sabah in the picture to the lower left.
Ya hayati, ya hayati, ya hayati.
Very nice. What does that mean, Martino?
Like my life.
Oh, yeah, my life. Haya. So, often Arabs will tell you, Ya Habibi, Ya Hayati. You are my love and you are my life, and they kind of go together. Am I right, Tamer? Do you hear that a lot in Arabic music? Ya Habibi, Ya Hayati.
Yes, true. And Sabah used to use this phrase so much when she speaks to anyone, like Ya Hayati, like all my life, you're my life.
Mumtaz. Are there any other questions before we leave today? I don't see any questions in the chat. However, some person may want to ask spontaneously. Let's see, who has not asked a question in English? Sophia Z, did you enjoy the art?
I did a lot.
Did it make you want to go find out more about these icons?
Yeah, it did actually. I was excited because Ustad Taraya, she played Fairuz for us, and so it's nice to hear it again.
Bravo. Enjoy your, they're highly addictive, Sophia Z. Be careful when you start Googling them, you'll find that the day has passed and you did no homework because you were so engulfed in these singers. That often happens to me.
Ustad Taraya was like, listen to Fairuz. She is your Beyonce now.
I love Dr. Turaya.
Me too.
So, I mean, if you don't have a question, maybe you'd like to talk in a sentence or two, either in Arabic or in English, about the impact that the art had on you. It would be nice for the artist to hear, about how how it impacted you as an American or as a non-Arab.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because I think Americans aren't very aware of most of anything from the Arab world, and so making it relatable by using your more modern art style is really cool. And I could definitely imagine seeing people wearing these prints today, which is really interesting because I could see also people not understanding where it's from, and then once they got a shirt or something by it, be inspired to look and see who that person is and learn a little bit more about the Arab world, which is pretty cool.
I love that too. Some people were insulted that, I had a coaster with a Fairuz print by Tamer. And some of my Arab visitors to my home would hesitate before placing a cup on Fairuz's head. I'd go, no, it's a coaster. You can place your coffee cup on it. But it feels blasphemous to put anything on top of Fairuz's head like that. But it's like, as Sophia said, I mean, this medium, T-shirts and mugs are reviving these cultural icons. And I think we need that in the digital age so they never fade away. Anybody else want to talk about their reaction to Tamer's art? Jackie?
Shukran, Tamer. I have a long list of artists I'm going to go listen to after class. But I wanted to comment on how like wonderful and cool it is. So I took Arabic for the first time last year, and I remember feeling like a little kid writing the calligraphy. But I know that Arabic calligraphy, like it's mind blowing how it looks so good in architecture, and it also looks so good in digital art. Like it's somehow like it's timeless, like the calligraphy aspect of Arabic. And although I'm not very good at it, it's something that you inspire me to like work harder on. So.
Thank you. That was very beautiful. Thank you.
So out of everybody we saw today, we started with Asmahan, followed by Kulthum, followed by Fairuz, followed by Sabah, and finally Warda from Algeria. Who impacted you the most?
I mean, it has to be Fairuz. Always, every time I hear her
You
sing.
better say Fairuz while I'm in the room. Once I step out of the room, you may choose someone else. Nina, what did you think in terms of the illustrations themselves, the art pieces? Which one did you find most striking?
Sorry if it's a little loud in the background. I don't know if you can hear me, but I like the pieces where there was like multiple together at once, or like where they're sitting at the table doing music together. I think it's just like a really cool celebration of a bunch of icons from all over the Middle East all together. Yeah, and it's like celebrating art and music and culture, which sometimes like when people talk about the Middle East, especially in the West, like culture is not the first thing that's spoken about. So it's really cool to have it all together, like in a visual format. I thought that was really special.
I specifically love the one of Fairuz, Sabah, and Kulthum sitting together in a salon, looking through a magazine, waiting their turn. Wouldn't that be a moment if that really happened in history? Wouldn't you love to be a fly on that wall? I'll leave it to your imagination. All right. Did anybody else want to make a comment before we adjourn? So how about we do this? How about we unmute and drown Tamer in praise and applause, Arabic style. Are we ready? Yalla, are we going to unmute? Yalla, unmute kids and let's give him a mumtaz.
Mumtaz,
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. ممتاز ممتاز. شكرا لكم يا طلاب، شكرا لتامر على وقته الثمين وعلى لوحاته الجميلة وعلى روحه اللطيفة وخفة دمه. شكرا له. Thank you to everybody who came today. Some of you came because you had to, some of you came you would have anyway, and some of you came from Jordan and other places. So thank you to everybody who attended, and please feel free to check out Tamer's art and Insta page. If you are wondering what to give your best friend as a gift, may I suggest Redbubble, and it's something in Arabic, thus encouraging them to learn Arabic as well. Shukran to everybody, shukran to Tamer, and if there are no other questions, I'm going to have, let's see, Dwight count us down from Khamsa to Sifr, and people, through the magic of technology, when he reaches Sifr, this meeting will magically end. I don't know how. It's the power of Dwight's voice. تفضل يا Dwight. شكرا. مع السلامة.
4 3 2 1 0